A live stream almost turns deadly when a man goes limp in a chokehold on camera. A live stream at a wrestling show turns violent and near deadly, and a man live streamed himself ranting about the Illuminati before crashing his car into a hospital, setting himself on fire. These are terrifying things caught in live streams. Live streaming is just getting more and more unhinged with each passing year. This one just happened like last week. South Korean creator Shin, better known as AngryKoreanGamer, was doing a live stream where at one point he and his friends thought it would be entertaining to put one of them in a chokehold on camera with a countdown timer on the screen. So the dude is lifted off the ground, struggling for air. He tries to tap out at one point, but the dude with the hold doesn't let go until the very last seconds. By then, the guy goes completely limp. For a moment, he's just slumped forward, twitching. He's having convulsions. Everyone in the room looks unsure of what to do. Then he finally gasps, and he comes back around. Instead of calling it off, though, AngryKoreanGamer, he bursts out laughing. It is insane cartoon bully behavior. I mean, this dude could have easily died. The whole live streaming thing, it's just gone way too far. It seems to just bring out the worst in people. And that's also the case here. Next up, we have the Raja Jackson incident. Everyone has been talking about this case, and for good reason. It's pretty shocking. So, for those not in the know, Raja Jackson, son of UFC legend Rampage Jackson, was at a pro wrestling show in Sun Valley, California. Not a WWE thing, this was a smaller event. Raja was live streaming everything on Kick. At one point, he was meeting some of the wrestlers in the parking lot outside the venue when he's introduced to a wrestler named Psycho Stu. Raja doesn't know who this guy is. Psycho Stu is like, "What, you don't know me?" Then proceeds to smash a can over Raja's head. Now, the thing is, for some reason, Psycho Stu thought that Raja was, I guess, part of the show. He was filming a promo or something. That's why the cameras were there. He hadn't actually been trying to hurt him. It was a wrestling stunt. He crushed the can with his hand or something. Anyway, there's a way to do it where it doesn't actually hurt the person, but it was still a really stupid thing to do on his part. And if Raja had hit him right there and then, that would have been self-defense. The case would have been closed, but that's not what happened. Wrestlers stepped in, told Stu that Raja was not a wrestler, and Stu was like, "Oh crap," was very apologetic about it and tried to smooth things over, explaining it was all a misunderstanding. Now, Raja accepted the apology, but was also told he could be worked into the show later, crashing Stu's match and getting a couple hits in on him. Pro wrestling hits though, so not real ones. Now, at this point, things seemed fine, but for the next several hours, Raja Jackson watched as his viewers started commenting about how he's, such a pushover and how he should have knocked Psycho Stu out, yada yada. Just went on, and Raja just got increasingly more infuriated by the whole situation, basically telling his viewers yeah, I'm gonna actually mess this guy up when I get in the ring. And that's what he did. When the time came, Raja rushed in, picked Psycho Stu up, who thought that this was all part of the show, mind you, and then slammed him to the mat. It was not a proper pro wrestling slam, because that's not what Raja was intending. Stu was just knocked out cold after this slam. Then Raja starts wailing on him. He got 23 heavy blows in to the head before other wrestlers finally realized what was going on and stepped in. Stu was unresponsive. He was rushed to the hospital, and for a while he wasn't even waking up. People weren't sure if he was gonna live. Luckily, he's been released from the hospital now, and it looks like Raja Jackson might be arrested. We'll have to wait and see. Back in February of 2018, a guy named Stephen Ellam went live on Facebook behind the wheel of his car outside Middlesex Hospital in Connecticut, rambling about the Illuminati and calling himself Jesus Christ. Pretty standard stuff here. Well, minutes later, he drove straight into the sliding glass doors of the emergency room, and he poured gasoline on himself and lit it on fire. The live stream captured the crash, the flames, the chaos inside the hospital as around 30 patients and 20 staff were evacuated. A hospital security guard was treated for smoke inhalation, but no one else was hurt. Ellam was airlifted to Bridgeport Hospital, where he later died. Back in 2014, a gamer was caught being robbed live on Twitch. Nikki Elise from Arizona, who streamed under the handle Sajidine, was mid-game when a pair of armed men broke into her house. At one point, she hears shouting from the next room and then gets up, to see what's going on. Shortly after, a voice yells, "On the ground now, on the ground." while the live stream continues. Eventually, a man with a firearm walks into the room and starts bagging stuff up. Minutes later, the intruder turns off the lights and disconnects the webcam, finally ending the stream. Now, luckily, no one was hurt, but Sajidin's Twitch was taken down for violating the guidelines, which is just, I mean, talk about adding insult to injury. One of the wildest live stream stunts during Hurricane Milton. There's a sentence that makes the modern world sound completely dystopian, but one of the wildest live streams during this hurricane came from a kick streamer named Mike Smalls Jr. He decided to take part in a so-called Hurricane Challenge, where another streamer promised $70,000 to anyone who could survive streaming through the storm. Smalls went live in Tampa with nothing but an umbrella and an air mattress, telling his chat that if he hit 100,000 views, he'd actually jump into a flooding river. Well, he hit his goal and made the jump, and things got serious. The wind started picking up, and I don't know how to swim, Small said. His mattress started drifting away. He had to grab onto a tree to avoid being swept off as well. Tampa police made a statement saying, intentionally placing oneself in harm's way could divert critical resources and delay vital rescue operations for others. Now, Smalls did tell viewers at one point though, quote, "Don't save me. I don't want to put your life at risk." He got a good amount of backlash for this situation, but this is also the internet and it's live streaming culture, so any publicity is good publicity. And he said he'd do something similar again if the price was right. In the world of just chatting live streams, streamers often take their audiences along with them through their daily lives. And that means that sometimes creepy situations get caught on camera. Case in point, watch this woman in black with the hat. She was being followed by some creep when she noticed a group of people hanging out on the street and quickly inserted herself into their conversation, pretending to be their friend. Luckily, the group caught on pretty quick and they went along with it. Watch the dude in gray with the ball cap though. He's the dude that was following the girl. At first you think he decides to walk off as soon as the woman is surrounded by people, but he creeps back, lurking right behind her for a bit before finally deciding to leave. Even then though, he turns to stare at her a bit more off camera. Now, luckily things did not escalate and the dude finally left, but had this woman not found people to help her, who knows what would have happened here. This next story happened during the height of the Pokemon Go craze. Back in 2016, a man ended up live streaming his own mugging while hunting Pokemon in Central Park. Reki Yaneza was out around 12:20 in the morning, searching for a Snorlax, like you do, when some dude creeps up behind him and just socks him in the head. Ricky had gone all out for his Pokemon Go setup. He used a custom rig that held 3 phones at once, one for the game, one to chat, and one to live stream. He was fully absorbed in this and was just taken totally off guard. The video shows the robber taking his phones while viewers watched, commenting live as it happened. Ricky ended up with a bruise on his cheek, a scab on his elbow, and of course he lost the 3 phones. But he said, "I'm alive, and that's all that really matters." Back in January of 2024, a Japanese Twitch streamer got a live audience for one of the scariest moments of her life. Shiori_Japan1, who'd only joined Twitch a couple months before, was streaming from her home in Niigata when a 7.6 magnitude earthquake suddenly hit. She felt some tremors, then an alert on her phone went off. A big earthquake was about to hit. The live stream continued as everything started shaking for more than 40 seconds after she left. Luckily, Shiori was fine, but others weren't so lucky. At least 48 people died. Rescuers were trying to free people trapped in collapsed buildings. This next one is incredibly disturbing. This is the case of Russian streamer Stanislav Reshetnikov, who went by Reeflay. Back in 2021, he was sentenced to 6 years in a penal colony after doing the unthinkable on a live stream. On camera, he was seen verbally and physically tormenting his girlfriend Valentina, while viewers just sat back and watched. Even worse, actually, they sent him money to keep doing this, and things just escalated until he forced her outside in freezing weather with no clothes on. Hours later, he brought her back in, and that's when he started to panic. He told his viewers she didn't have a pulse. At first, people thought she died from hypothermia, but investigators later found she'd died from blunt force trauma to the head. I mean, I don't even know how you begin to wrap your head around something like this. Just makes you kind of lose your faith in humanity. And I'm sure most of you have heard about this recent case. Jean Portmanov, whose real name was Raphael Graven, He was 46 years old, and he'd built a following of over 500,000 people across social media. His streams on the platform Kick were known for pushing limits, with him often being the target of extreme challenges set up by his streamer friends. Well, his life ended in one of the worst ways imaginable. 10 straight days of brutal torment. Viewers watched as he was forced to stay awake, had objects thrown at him, food was shoved into his mouth, and he got fired at with a paintball gun, and there was also worse stuff. All of this was at the hands of his so-called friends, all for views. By the end of this barrage, Jean died on stream, and it was viewers who reported it to the police after realizing something was terribly wrong. French authorities later confirmed that 2 streamers were taken into custody. This case has brought a lot of attention to the growing trend of just horrific things being carried out over live streams. More specifically, what's called trash streaming, which is basically exactly what it sounds like. Streams that center around humiliation, dangerous stunts, just pure shock value. With all that said, I've been your host, James, and I will catch you, yes, you specifically, next time.